Dead internet theory will end. The internet will end soon.
This
Okay.
video is sponsored by the online personal information
Let's
removal
watch this.
service,
Seems
Incogni.
ominous.
Protect your data and personal information
Protect
from
your
data
data,
brokers
people.
and search sites. Use my link in the description to get 60% off Incogni's annual plan.
Incogni.
On Tuesday, December 15th, 1970, Season 2, Episode 12 aired of the comedy sketch show
Incognito.
Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Okay.
The title of the episode was Spam. In the episode, there is a sketch, also titled Spam, in which a husband and wife are lowered on wires into a cafe filled with Vikings. Once sat, the husband and wife ask the waitress about the meals available at the cafe. The waitress proceeds to describe each menu item to the couple. Nearly every item has the canned meat, Spam, in it. Some dishes are just Spam with multiple sides of Spam. Spam, 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 egg, and Spam. One dish is described as. When the woman customer declares,
Low key, I kind of like Spam. I haven't had it in a while, but Spam be hitting before breakfast.
that she does not like Spam,
Horrible for you, but it be hitting.
and she wants a meal without any, the waitress denies her request, and suddenly the Vikings around them begin to sing. Spam, 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 lovely Spam, wonderful Spam. The interaction devolves further.
I mean, granted, that's all the internet is fucking a bunch of spam. Is there the same guy who explained the video of God? I don't know. I think so. The pursuit of wonder.
And further as the Vikings' chants and waitress's screams in support of Spam increase, droning out the conversation into indiscernible absurdity. Then, the sketch essentially ends, and the customer, we can reasonably assume, does not get a meal without Spam in it. Although this Monty Python sketch had nothing to
Could you even be mad at that? I mean, I don't know.
do with media or the internet, it would strangely and powerfully foreshadow forthcoming conditions of media and the internet, and it would ultimately lead directly to the term spam being used in internet vernacular.
That's crazy.
In the context of media and the internet, the term spam broadly refers to excessive, irrelevant, unwanted, insincere,
Like email. Tired of fucking email. They need to figure something else out because email addresses just get spammed so hard.
or repeated communication or content. As a result of the Monty Python sketch, in the 1980s, in early online chat rooms, message boards, and virtual games, users would repeatedly type spam along with other quotes from the Monty Python sketch in order to knock the text of other unwanted users or competitors down and off screen and gatekeep discourse. Around the same time, the term spam would also come to be used to refer to the repeated and excessive posting of the same messages on file and message sharing networks.
Yeah.
Of course, it only helps and is all the more fitting that Spam, the canned meat, is highly processed and unhealthy, high in calories, fat, and sodium, and low in nutrients.
Yeah.
Since the 1980s, media and the internet have, of course, evolved tremendously. Between 1981 and 1989, the number of hosts connected to the internet went from hundreds to hundreds of thousands, with an increase from 80,000 to over 160,000 hosts in 1989 alone.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of fucking uptick in spam. Fuck.
So in 1989, the World Wide Web was created, which, for the first time, made digital content easily reachable and shareable for the average consumer.
Awesome.
By the mid-1990s, there were over 100,000 websites on the web. Around 40% of American households owned a computer, which was just 15% a couple years prior. Suddenly, new opportunities for connection and creativity abounded. For the first time in history, individuals could easily message people across the world in chats, publish and share their art and homemade videos, create digital profiles in digital stores, purchase and download things like movies and books, order physical goods to be delivered to their home, and innumerable other unbelievable and world-changing acts. Now, as of 2024, it's estimated that around 70% of the global population owns a smartphone.
I love iPhone.
That's roughly 5 billion people. It's also now estimated that there are well over 1 billion websites, and the average person currently spends...
There's 1 billion websites? Holy fuck. There's no chance you're ever going to explore the entire internet.
...around 6 hours and 35 minutes online every day. Needless to say, the internet and internet devices have fully consumed us, and the conditions of the internet are crucially important to the human experience.
Yes, it is.
Of course, along with new opportunities for the distribution of enriching things on the internet, so too have new opportunities for the distribution of problems and hazardous content evolved on the internet. One of which is spam and spam-like media. For the sake of clarity, spam and spam-like media here includes anything from unwanted emails all the way to digital content that unreasonably exploits platform algorithms, automation, and/or excessive posting, often for the sole purpose of views and engagement.
Yep.
The problem of spam might appear somewhat trivial at first, especially when considered against much darker activities and possibilities on the internet. But the increasing development and thriving of spam-like media points to a deep, holistic problem about the current architecture and future of the internet and humanity at large. The internet, in its current form, does not merely have spam on the menu. The menu is, in many ways, increasingly that of the Monty Python Cafe. All menu items on offer seem to contain spam in some form. And worse, our palates seem to be increasingly burnt and numb by this to actually desire it, to enjoy less and less of the nuanced flavors that we previously did.
Yeah.
As both creators and consumers of media, many of us seem to want quicker, easier, and more processed content, which often doesn't challenge or require much of us. And we are increasingly willing to ignore the intentions and consequences of said content. Inspired and led by philanthropic beasts, herds of Viking creators chase watch time as audiences welcome the pillaging with eager eyes. There is a theory about the internet that has recently garnered increasing notoriety, largely as a result of the mainstream introduction and popularization of generative AI.
Yeah, generative AI has helped spam so much. Oh my god, it's unbelievable how much spam this shit creates. Articles and fucking videos and content and pictures. Oh my god.
The theory is known as the dead internet theory. The origins of the theory primarily trace back to an anonymous thread created in 2000.
I know, we're gonna need internet 2, I'm telling you. Internet 2 for real information. That's literally what we're gonna have to have.
2021 on the Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe forum. Its origins, specifics, and conspiratorial nature are rather questionable, but the broad sentiment, at least now, feels somewhat valid. Putting aside the conspiratorial and paranoid claims of the theory, most broadly, the theory suggests that most online activity is fake in some way, either bot activity or AI-generated content created and curated by algorithms. Because of this, according to the theory, the internet, as a source of unbridled human activity and flourishing, died somewhere around the year 2016.
What?
In that same year of 2016, a cybersecurity company by the name of Imperva, in fact, did find that bots, or software applications that perform automated tasks without human intervention, accounted for over half of all online activity. They also found that around 30% of website visits likely came from bad bots, or programs designed to carry out harmful actions like theft and hacking. The other roughly 20% of bots, however, were found to be good bots, or bots that help monitor and upkeep aspects of the internet. This was nearly 10 years ago. We can more than reasonably assume that those numbers have gone up since then.
Yeah.
Of course, these percentages include the entire internet in all corners and pockets, so it's not necessarily the case that the majority of the content and websites you personally consume and visit are fake, assuming you engage in reasonably well-curated and stable websites and platforms. But the point is, no matter who you are, how savvy you are, and what you do on the internet.
That's so fucking true. No matter how savvy you are, you're gonna encounter this shit.
There is no avoiding fake content and fake traffic. And
I tried so hard, you can't.
Even more so, there is certainly no avoiding spam-like content. This year, in 2024, Jack Conte, the founder and CEO of the creator monetization platform Patreon, gave a keynote at the conference South by Southwest titled Death of the Follower and the Future of Creativity on the Web. The focus of his presentation was primarily on the development and effects of algorithmic feeds on social media and content distribution platforms. Specifically, Conte's argument is that major platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok have moved primarily into algorithmic ranking-based content distribution feeds and away from follow-based feeds. In other words, internet content...
I didn't even know that. So it's not even follow-based feeds? I wonder why I get shit on it, fucking YouTube.
...is distributed based on computer algorithms that rank content using metrics of engagement like watch time, and not based on people selectively and intentionally curating what is shown to them based...
I have gotten some like shit I'm not even following like on my feed on Facebook and on TikTok.
...and who they follow or subscribe to. As a result, according to Conte, this has caused content creators and their audiences to become increasingly pulled apart. In my opinion, Conte says, the follow is not some handy feature of a social network. The follow is foundational architecture for human creativity and organization.
Yeah.
With the follow becoming less central to content distribution, content creators increasingly need to create for an algorithm rather than for a clear audience or fan base. Conti says, "For the first time since Web 2.0, my followers might not necessarily see my posts, and the idea of a subscription started to break down. If a person doesn't receive the thing I make, it's not really a direct, true connection between a creator and their fans. It's not really a subscription. The channel of distribution is broken, and it creates another problem too around creative freedom, because now suddenly my post has to be better than the other posts according to a set of criteria that I don't know or have control of, or even agree with. So instead of thinking, what do I want to make? What lights me up? What is the output that I want to create as an artist? What will my fans love? Instead of thinking about those questions, now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what will the ranking algorithm favor? And that, subconsciously or consciously, changes my creative output to achieve the platform's goals, not my goals as a creator."
Fucking true.
The primary goal for almost...
I just upload whatever I want. That's what I do. Every live stream, I just edit everything, and I just fucking chop it up and upload it. 6-7 videos a day. I don't give a fuck.
all social media platforms is to make money. The primary means of achieving this goal for most platforms is through advertising revenue. And the primary means of generating, sustaining, and growing ad revenue is by attracting as many users to the platform and then keeping users on the platform as long as possible. At the scale of major social media platforms, algorithmic-based ranking feeds seems to achieve this the best. As a result, algorithms have increasingly taken control over what we see and the direction in which online media and content goes. We are thus being increasingly led by these algorithms with no clear aim in terms of benefit to the individual or culture at large. The cause and end game are merely profitability. Of course, algorithms are not inherently bad, and they could provide great opportunities for things like discoverability for creators and consumers. Furthermore, pursuing watch time in algorithms isn't inherently always bad either, as it can be useful for improving one's work. But a major problem is, under these conditions, one of the forms of media and content that prospers is either full-on spam or media that has a flavor of spam to it. In order to appease algorithms and either forge or maintain a career in social...
Yeah, that's exactly my I just fucking upload everything. Just fucking... You guys just upload as many videos as possible till people get used to seeing you. That's
relevancy. Creators might change their content format, category, or topics from what they are primarily interested in to what's popular and what works, often leading to blatant copying, repetitiveness, redundancy, dumbing down, carelessness, or excessively frequent posting. Otherwise, they might risk inevitably being overlooked by the algorithms and forgotten by anyone who is not in their most core audience. These problems of fake traffic, algorithmic disconnect, and spam media have only become increasingly worse with the introduction and mainstream use of generative AI. Now, AI models can message humans in chats and message other AI models, create digital art and video content, create and manage digital profiles in stores, determine and execute purchases and economic decisions, as well as innumerable other unbelievable and world-changing acts. But now, humans are less and less involved. Hence, the internet is, at least in the way it once was, dead. In its wake, a new sort of internet is emerging. What this new form will ultimately become, how it will feel, what help and harm, positives and negatives it might cause, will only be known in time. But what does appear to be certain is that AI is only going to get better, and the problems of disconnection, fakeness, and spam-like media are only going to get worse. Of course, generative AI is not all bad, and there are countless great applications for it, both currently and foreseeably. But if we are not careful, more than anything else, our digital diets will continue to become unhealthier and unhealthier. It will be increasingly difficult to hear and make sense of anything, to want to hear and make sense of anything, to find and get what we want to order. It is not hopeless, though. Hopefully, in time, there will be reasonable regulations around AI and internet media. Hopefully, new technologies will also help mitigate against some of the existing and forthcoming problems and execute effectively on reasonable policies and cultural expectations. If history is to be considered, it seems that this is certainly on the table of possibilities. But of course, if history is to be considered, regulations and new technologies designed to restrain bad actors and bad technologies are always, at least a little, behind the people and technologies they are designed to catch. Perhaps in some sense, at least for now, it is up to us, creators and consumers of content, founders and users of platforms. There is a famous saying that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. A more up-to-date version of this might be that we're
the average of the top 5 people you spend the most time with. That makes sense.
The average of the 5 creators and 5 content categories we spend the most time on the internet consuming. Arguably, now and into the future, making decisions about what we do and engage with on the internet will be as crucial as the decisions we make regarding our friends and associates. Of course, in some sense, this has always been the case, and determining what media we consume has always been crucial. But crucial is a spectrum, and now it is highly. Ultimately, who cares if the dead internet theory is true or not? Who cares if the old internet is dead or not? What matters, arguably, is whether we can and will sustain what matters in new ways in the new conditions of the world and technology. And what matters is what matters to us, our humanity at its truest and deepest levels. As humans, we want to create, communicate, and connect with each other, unabridged and unbridled. We want reasonably healthy and sustainable relationships with others, with ourselves, and with the networks of the world, both physical and digital. We want honesty, we want genuineness, we want symbiosis, we want prosperity. The internet is and can still be a place where this happens. Of course, there will always be the spam cafes, and spam will likely find its way on most menus, and most of us will likely indulge in it on occasion. But like everything else, with discipline, hope, and effort, we can still eat healthy diets. We can still build beautiful restaurants and eateries and communities with minimal spam on the menus. We can still break
moderators. You need moderators. That's what
bread together in meaningful ways.
I mean, that's gonna be a full-time job. I feel like one day people who just moderate the internet. I'm telling you.
In the words of Conti, the hardest lesson I have learned as a creative person and as an operator and CEO over the last 10 years is to know and trust what I want and to be true to that over time. It's easier said than done, but don't let somebody else tell you what you want, because then you'll end up with what they want instead of what you want.
Damn, what a quote.
On a somewhat more direct, hazardous level, one problem area where spam inevitably shows up for all of us is junk messages. Emails, robocalls, texts, physical mail, and so on.
No, that was a good video though. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of dead internet theory fucking videos, and like, yeah, that's gonna be the future of the internet for sure.